As a Dynasty Warriors fan and overall fan of that kind of hack and slash genre, I'm always for a lookout for a good copy of that series. On the other hand, I'm not that much of a Legend of Zelda fan, as I have zero nostalgia for the games and have played them only later in my life. This being said, I love Twilight Princess, and I think it's the best of Legend of Zelda, and it's bit more realistic in approach, but loathe many of the other games in the series as they seem to lack attention they should have had from the hype that I've read on the internet, especially how everyone bent over for the games in reviews. Especially Breath of the Wild, which compared to other open world games at this era is empty and just atrocious abomination without lacking all the elements of enjoyable open world. Instead, Breath of the Wild presents itself like an alpha version of the game it was marked as. But I'm going to so fucking far from the subject now that let's get back to Hyrule Warriors, probably the best Dynasty Warriors-like game I've played. Nail-biting management over battlefields and massacring endless amounts of enemies. Has nothing to do with Zelda, but a lot to do with Dynasty Warriors when it comes to gameplay. Based on the worlds and different timelines of Legend of Zelda games, this one takes a time travel / time warp approach. This way it can create its unique story and introduce new characters and many of the old characters from different games to a huge roster of playable characters. I played the game on 3DS, but Graphically Superior is also available on Wii U. I'm familiar with the Legend of Zelda history, characters and worlds. Although not a fan, I acknowledge the good things in it. This game is built around those set pieces and places that are mainly of fans' interest, and it's overall done well. Even on 3DS the game looks and feels like a Zelda world. What comes to gameplay itself, there are a few different modes to play with. Legend mode is the story-driven campaign where there are certain scenarios to play with. Free mode is just what it says, play what you want with whomever you want. And adventure mode, which is original Legend of Zelda's grid-based overworld map, where you move and enter encounters with different objectives. It's interesting add-on to the main story mode. Challenges can be done also if you really want to push up your time with the game. On Wii U there is a local co-op, and on 3DS there is an online co-op only. Naturally you cannot play couch co-op on 3DS. I had no pleasure of playing this with a friend, but this kind of games generally are best with friends, so I see no reason why that wouldn't be the case here. Different characters wield different kind of weapons and styles of fighting as usual in these kind of games, but basically it all comes to simple combos mixed with light and heavy attacks. Some characters have special limit bars, but everyone has a special attack gauge. And something what I would call a rage mode, as I don't think they said the name of the awakening bar. There's 30 playable characters overall, and as you can change the playable characters simply by clicking on the character that is in the scenario, the gameplay doesn't turn too boring and is seamless to change the characters on the mid-level. This also is the big deal of the game. As you smash your way through the enemies, you have to constantly keep an eye on the map. Map tells you if your friends are in danger of dying, which will result in the game over, or if enemies suddenly appear somewhere, and you have to order your friends around to either secure or off defense station. What it concludes to is an intense real-time strategy, Dynasty Warriors style of game at its best. Enemies of the game are familiar from all Legend of Zelda games across the board. Mostly you encounter the weakest enemy types of the games in masses of hundreds, but from time to time bosses will spawn if enemy gets the lead and can summon those. These fights require you to use items with different tactics to reveal points and micromanage that whole battle while doing it. At times the multiple bosses spawned during the campaign and you had to change between characters to heal and manage multiple boss fights at the same time. Very enjoyable and stressful experience. Gameplay is your basic button mashing XXXY, XXXY, be in the middle of those mashes to dodge at times, etc. From that screen you manage your scenario map and keep an eye and maneuver tactics of your allies, as I mentioned. This is the main thing that hooks you to play this game, as it works as a micromanaging real-time strategy game, as it works as a hack and slash game. Everything works as should in a game like this. AI is stupid as dog shit, which is basically what these kind of games are all about. No one really accepts high intelligence AI in this kind of horde smashing games. Visual presentation on the 3DS is overall good and the frame rate sticks high at all times, which I prefer more than higher resolution or textures. Although I was playing this on Citra emulator, so instead of my 3DS, can't really blame the handheld system for bad visual presentation, but the audio side is quite good actually also. There is some speaking even, which is rare for the Zelda games, and the familiar tunes have been remixed, quite rocking to blend in with the 100 grunts and moans of your enemies. Overall the game is pretty damn good, especially on the 3DS, and would love to play it also on the Wii U, which I don't own anymore. Among Twilight Princess, I think this is one of my favorite Zelda games, and I will give it an 8 out of 10.